Joining us here on the show is our good friend Dan Shaughnessy of the Boston Globe. Dano, good morning and happy holidays.
Hey, same to you, DA. How you doing?
I'm doing good. What do you think about this conversation of Cam Jordan calling out Roethlisberger? Do you consider Roethlisberger a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, and I'd have him ahead of Eli, too. I mean, I know the Super Bowls are even, I guess, but he's consistently been better quarterback than Eli Manning.
I would agree. And isn't it kind of interesting that Eli had two great runs, but outside of that, his postseason stinks. He hasn't won another playoff game outside of that, whereas Roethlisberger kind of consistently advances in the playoffs. It's weird that we only look at Eli through the prism of those two championship runs, right?
I think, yeah. I mean, and those, he came up big, and we don't take that away from him. But it doesn't elevate him into a level that he doesn't belong just by the virtue of that. I mean, Steve Pierce was MVP of the World Series. It doesn't equate him with, Manny Ramirez.
So the Josh Gordon thing, I guess it doesn't come out of nowhere because we knew the baggage coming into the season with Josh Gordon. But do you think it caught the Patriots off guard whenever it was that he decided to walk away or, I guess, violated the substance abuse policy again?
I guess you got to say off guard. I mean, he played almost the whole game in Pittsburgh last Sunday, and he was in the first huddle on Wednesday still practicing with the ones. I think he had known. I don't think they had known. That's my guess, unless they knew, but they didn't know at what point they were going to lose him. So in either event, when it came down, it was. I don't think you could be surprised. I mean, when they got him, it was like, well, this probably won't end well. Let's see. And you kind of got lulled into forgetting about it because there's 11 weeks and no episodes, and he would come out and do the interview room after games, and he was very polite and well spoken, had good thoughts, and we thought, oh, okay, maybe he'll be part of it. But he's not the same player he was when he had that monster year in Cleveland a long time ago, but still, I think he was third in snaps for guys who catch balls in the 11 games that he was there for that team.
Who fills the void for Gordon?
Well, they had Matthew Slater catching balls yesterday in practice, so that's a bad sign.
Yeah.
And they've done that in the past going into postseason and all that. So, right now they can ill afford an injury, of course, but it's a gap. There's no question. It's another part, another thing taken away. If you look at that game last week, I was in Pittsburgh. Well, when Hogan gets so open, there's no one within 20 yards of him in the third play of the game, first touchdown. It's because there's three guys on Gordon, and now you're not going to have that. And I mean, some of Gronk's value obviously goes there too. There's a lot of times two guys on him, even though he's not what he was. So every time you take one of these pieces away, certainly it dilutes the overall offense, and it puts a greater burden on Josh McDaniels and Belichick to figure it out.
Dan Shaughnessy, Boston Globe, joins us this morning here on the show. I think it's quite evident there's been moments this season where Tom Brady has shown his age, and the interception in the red zone last week, the three passes at the end of the game, second, third, and fourth down, really didn't give the team much of a chance to win. But you say that, and Brady defenders come out of the woodwork. Oh, it's the offensive line. It's mistakes by the offense. It's the play calling. It's the wide receivers. How much do you think is valid to say Brady's issues are age-related?
I think some of it's valid. It's supposed to be. I can't touch the rim anymore, DA. I'm not disputing that. And, I mean, Tom Brady's 41 years old. You saw when he caught that pass and kind of staggered and lumbered, and he might have even been hurt in that play. And, there's been rumors, some sort of a tear somewhere. I don't know. They're never going to give that up. But he's clearly letting go of the ball a little bit earlier. And, the pick on the 4-yard line last week was either really poor judgment or getting the ball away too soon or just didn't have the noodle to get it far enough out of bounds where it couldn't be caught. So all scenarios are bad. All of them point to age.
Can you bring up the fact that Brady might not be Brady anymore within Boston and not get shouted down from Brady defenders? Can you have an honest conversation about that, or do most people not want to go there yet?
Nobody really wants to go there yet, and I think everybody knows this is, we're reaching the last roundup here based on what's around him, based on his play, that, they're in the tournament this year, and if everything falls their way, they could, get where they like to get. But they don't look like they can win a road playoff game, which they've never had to do in the last 11 years. So we'll see how this plays out. They're looking for some help. They want Houston to lose to the Eagles on Sunday, get them back into the 2 seed. Absent that, they have to play wild card weekend that has not been their friend. They've never made the Super Bowl, this group in the 18 years. All 5 of their Super Bowls involved a first-round bye.
Dan Shaughnessy, Boston Globe. Damian Woody suggested that the Patriots should have traded Gronk in the offseason, that he is a shell of his former self. Now, when former Patriots criticize the Patriots, it is noteworthy. And even Rodney Harrison said on Sunday Night Football that Gronk is no longer himself, and that is startling. What do you think? Should the Patriots have bailed on Gronk before the year?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Gordon ended up catching more touchdown passes than Gronk to this point. And, you've seen him, DA. He looks different. He looks better at the beach, but that's not the guy you want being your tight end, shedding guys. When he catches the ball now, he's not shedding guys and running another 15, 20 yards. He's going down when he gets hit. And there's been instances where he needed that extra yard and wasn't able to get it, holding the block. He's just, the whole weight training and not lifting and all that stuff has not been his friend to the position that he plays. He's older. He's got a lot of wear and tear in the body. And I don't think he's as dedicated to it because he's just been through so much. He knows he's got Hollywood or wrestling or whatever out there. And I think that the notion to trade him was very real. And I think it was another one of those ownership Brady kind of cabals where it didn't happen and probably wasn't in the best interest of the team if you look at what they're looking at right now.
My final question is going to be about Belichick and the coaching, because we never question whether these guys are prepared, execute right, do their job, and yet 14 penalties. Brady doesn't know how many timeouts they have at the end of the first half in Miami. There seems to be a series of mental blunders, and that's never Patriot-like. Does that judge poorly on Belichick right now?
Well, it goes back to the Butler play in the Super Bowl last year. That's really the first time you could challenge Bill and not get the pushback from the Patriot Nation that we know so well. So I think it's been there. I still think, DA, when they, in certain games, like when they play the Vikings at home, Bill O'Brien comes in here, he still takes the pants off the other guy on a regular basis, and I think that is still there. But I do think these specific things that are hard to explain, why is Gronk on the field at the end of the Dolphin game, the Butler thing, and again, the Brady timeout thing, there's some issues now that were not there before, and I think that, this is not going to end well. We've been saying that for a long time. They still got a chance to have another good year this year. But it's gonna start to pull apart, I think, and it's supposed to after 18 years, right? Nobody else has ever had a run like this.
Right. Dan Shaughnessy joins us from the Boston Globe. Dan, it's always awesome to catch up, man. Thanks so much. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you and yours, and we'll do it again in 2019.
Thanks, DA. Best to you, man.
You too.